Quince Pyatt, Rory Dodge or Ron Ackerman. These are just a few names of players who have been on the receiving end of a dangerous clear-out at ruck time. As this season of rugby unfolds, we've seen a rise in injuries at ruck time and more specifically injuries to the player who is jackling the ball. We've seen a rise in lower leg injuries with players getting rolled out of the ruck, and we've also seen more head injuries around the ruck area. The question that is starting to arise is, should jackling be banned, because it's increasing the chance of injury as well as increasing the risk of players being sent off for reckless clear-outs, which could ultimately start killing the game.
So, we've introduced the issues at ruck time and jackling, but now we're going to give you a hands-on demonstration of how these injuries for the head and knee occur. So, the first common injury we're seeing at the moment is head injuries, when the supporting player clears out, enters the ruck dangerously and ends up making head contact with his shoulder to the defender. So we've got a jackler here, and I'm going to come in as the late support player. So that's what's wrong at the moment, is because the support player is coming in, and because he's in a rush, he's not thinking where he's going to put his shoulder. So what he's done is I've made contact with the back of Sam's head, which is an automatic red card. We saw at the start of the season with Bundyaki, his teammate made a break and he was too late to the ruck, and this winger already got into a great jackling position, but because he's too late, he comes flying in a desperation attempt and made contact with his head and ultimately got a red card. What we want to try and do is almost aim for either one of the shoulders. So if he's in a jackling position, I can just go like that, and it's no contact to the head, it's contact with his shoulder and my shoulder, and it's not injuring him, and it's also not going to end your game because you've been red carded for making contact to the head. So the second increase in injury we see is in the knee and the lower leg area. This is due to the jackler being rolled out of the ruck. So I've come in and I'm rolling him, and his foot's getting stuck in the ground, but his knees keeps on going. This is where we see the gruesome ACL, MCL injuries. And the reason why players crocodile roll is because the jackler's got in, we've missed the initial shoulder contact, so now we're stuck here in the body. So our only option is to either try and push him off, but that's not going to really work because he's in such a strong position. So guys resort to rolling them, and that's where we see the foot getting stuck in the ground, then their body coming over their knee, and all that weight is tearing the ligaments in the knee and the ankle. Prime example was Jack Willis against Italy in Six Nations. He's got in a perfect position. Sebastian Negri's missed the initial contact, and bear in mind he's a pressure player, so he's got a lot more weight than me. He's rolled Willis's foot is stuck in the ground, but his knees kept on going. So his knees were touching the ground whilst his body's bent over him. So that caused him to be on the sidelines for more than a year. Whole knee reconstruction, ACL, MCL. So that's known as a crocodile roll. Another one we're seeing is a very recent example. Gloucester's Royle Ackerman against La Rochelle last weekend. The player didn't even miss the contact. He's realised it's a late support player. He's coming from the side this time, and he's just used his weight. Ackerman's foot's not stuck, but because it was a prop, the prop's weight's come over. Ackerman's foot slipped, but he's still rolling, so he still rolled onto his ankle. It wasn't as bad as Willis, but this is another case of the player missing the shoulder contact, so he's having to roll the player out of the ruck, and subsequently causing a horrendous knee injury. After all those demonstrations, if you do find yourself be beat into the ruck, obviously I showed you what would happen to avoid head contact. That's almost like if you're marginally late, you can just use a bit of brute force, shoulder on shoulder, to knock them back. But if you are genuinely late, probably the safest and the lowest risk solution is to I'll show you. So normally when guys are late, they're here and they just roll, and this is where the injury comes. So with this one, most guys find their head in here and then they drive up, but that's a lot of pressure on the back of your neck. So what you want to do is come up, just slightly to the side, but not so much that you're going to get penalised for it. Jam this arm in here, and then get your head on on their outside hip, and just hook their leg, and then just drive, and then that's them off the ball, and it's also you securing the ball for your team and keeping the risk of getting a card to the minimum. So, we know World Rugby aren't afraid to make radical law changes, i.e. the new tackle laws next year, so it begs the question, will we see rugby in the near future without Jacqueline?